Hey there, class. A quick content warning. This episode includes topics including dieting, body image, and weight management. So please take care when listening.
My God, I have tears in my eyes. I was trying to look up songs about exercising so that I could sing one for the opening. And I saw, girl, I want to make you sweat. Sweat till you can't no more. And I saw the name and I was like, what is that? How does that song go? And so I was singing it when I let you into the studio. And I was like, make you sweat. Sweat till you can't no more.
I do remember that song. I'm not mad at you because I'd be in this apartment by myself getting down.
Are you
to
kidding
some
me?
music. Are you kidding?
We're gonna get into the gym playlist because I know you already got something to say about.
Well, what is on your gym playlist, Fran? And then the thing I'm about to say is if it's chaperone, I'm a chaperone, okay? Garone.
Okay, we heard the pun. You don't have to sell it. Listen, when I opened this doc and I saw that, I was like, I know DeLon was just fucking tap dancing.
Giggling.
He was like, this was gonna fucking...
I'm gonna get a real good... I almost held on to it and didn't put it in there.
Yeah. You always try to talk about my girl, and I get it. You hate women, and that's fine.
Listen, now, I do not hate this. You know what I did? Today I listened to the album top to toe.
Okay.
Top to toe, and I was like, it's a lot of feelings. It's her journals.
It is.
It's her journals, and that's why it's not speaking to me because, I think it's very feminine,
it's
female
gay.
forward.
It's so gay.
It's super gay.
It's
super gay.
Any artist who could put I'm eating you out in a song
She said you were eating me out or I'm eating you out?
Knee deep in the passenger seat and you eating me out.
Is
it casual now?
I might be watching now.
Less singing, more eating.
Totally. Wait, so what is on your list other than chaperone?
Well, it's so funny too because as you know, I'm bougie bitch. I go to a private gym and the music selection is always like a point of contention between me and one of the other trainers. Yeah, because it's all in good fun, but they always want to have like slow jams. It always sounds like we're in a fucking spa or something in there. I'm like, why are they playing like Boys to Men and like just stuff that's just
I'll make love to you while you're on the treadmill?
Literally, I'm like, I walk into the gym and then everyone's like, oh, Fran's here. We got to change the music. And I'm like, yes, because this is too slow.
That's also just your reputation though, because you'd be like, come on, play some music. And now I go, no, girl, you play some music. I don't want to hear your throat. I don't want to hear anything out of your mouth.
So here's what's on my playlist. I honestly, lots of Britney Spears. I love Work
bops,
Bitch.
Yo.
I love Work Bitch. I love Slave for You. I love Missy Elliott, Get Your Freak On.
Ooh, get your freak on.
I also love a Pussycat Dolls, don't you?
Well, you love a pussy, but...
Keeping with the theme. I'm like, can we just say the name of the group over and over again? I don't actually need to hear the song.
Wait, but Pussycat Dolls, they have so many fucking bops.
Honestly, they are an episode of Let Me Fix It.
Oh, God, Fran, yes.
They're an episode. And then I will say one of my favorite gym songs is Amory, One Thing.
Yo.
It's this one thing that got
me tripping. It's this thing. And the drums, Pharrell tore that down.
Oh, that was a. You know what? I don't think that's Pharrell.
Oh, you're right. It's not. It's the same guy who did Beyonce's.
I think it's Dark Child. Yeah.
Yeah. Who did?
I think it's Dark Child. Is that his name? Or
no? Yes, that makes sense.
Wait. One thing. I'm gonna look it up because the class is gonna let us know.
Yeah.
If it's wrong.
What was his
Rich
big Beyonce
Harrison.
track?
You know what? I don't know who that is. Look at me. I said it was Rich Harrison and Stanley Walden. Who the fuck is Rich Harrison?
What else did they do?
Okay.
Did they do anything for Beyonce?
Also they did. No, I don't know.
Wow.
But you know what, Rich? You got rich off of that song.
You sure did. You tore it down.
I played it out every single day.
Play it out.
what is on your workout playlist?
Well, my workout playlist is pretty short. It's called Treadmill because I just run a mile and that's about it. But Beyonce is on mine. You know I have to represent my power. You'll never take my power. My power.
Listen, I will never forget when Blue Ivy came out.
Mine was blown.
I was screaming like I was at a Michael Jackson concert.
And the people I was with were like, you know every word. I was like, this is on my running list. This is my jam.
You know what I will say, though? I feel like that Power song is very underrated because that whole album, that's the gift that she did for
the Lion King live capture or the reanimation.
Yeah. For whatever reason, people slept on that album, but that album is
fire.
Fire.
It really, really is. Miss Janelle Monáe is also on my playlist, but it's like classic Janelle Monáe. I think it's like Arcandroid. Faster and faster, I should run.
Okay, a theme song to get him on the treadmill.
Go, you better run. You know what my favorite, though, like my pump up song of all time is? Where Have You Been, Rihanna?
That is a
Cause I never see you out. My favorite part is this part right here. Somewhere in the yeah. Stupid. Tell me that is not the clubbiest song.
Oh, it's a great song. Excuse me. My favorite part is when it goes.
Completely unexpected. Your mind goes, wow.
Have you seen the video?
Oh, no, I haven't actually.
The video is hot.
Is it really?
Yes. Oh my God.
I have to look it up. What is your pump, pump, pump song? Is it A. Marie?
My pump. Now, can you just for the class define a pump, pump, pump song?
It's like. When you say the words back to me, it's ridiculous. It's more. It's trying to be all inquisitive too. A pump, pump, a pump, pump, pump song. A pump, pump it up. Is literally like when you are down, like the last eighth of a mile, and you're like, oh my God, I want it to be done. But if somebody played that song, you would go, get it. What would that be for you?
Oh, see, this is a really good question. This is a hard question for me because I'm not a runner.
Oh.
I have run, I've run, but I'm not a regular runner.
Yeah.
I don't know. I would really have to think about.
HOTTOGO.
No, I actually don't have any chaperone on my gym playlist.
Okay, well, stop making fun of you.
And honestly, and here's the thing, and like Hot to Go is not in my. Those songs are not the ones that I like. I like the ones that are more slow and surprising for me. I like a ballad. I like a chaperone ballad.
A broody kind of like girl in her feelings.
Yes, I do. It really does it for me.
Ooh, wait. No.
Listen. Wait.
I hate you for that.
Let me fix it.
Hello and welcome back to Let Me Fix It, the podcast that says, I'm saving my old clothes for who and why? Because they don't fit anymore. I'm DeLon Grant. I'm an actor, a singer, photographer, writer, and an educator.
Welcome back to Let Me Fix It, the podcast that says, my body is your party. Do you know that song?
I don't, but it sounds like
Sierra?
No.
She's like, I can't keep my hands off you. Got me so excited.
Ooh, that's baby making music. Come on now.
It is. I just something about my body being your party. And I'm Francesca Ramsey. I'm an actress, a producer, a writer, and graphic designer. And class, pull those old jeans you've been trying to fit back out of the back of the closet and put them in the donation bin. You need to donate them. Let's just get rid of them and set them down next to that bathroom scale that is always trying to humiliate you, because today we are taking our power back. We are talking about body image.
Yes, Fran, and I feel like you have like really given up the ghost, so to speak, on the like holding out hope for old clothes to someday fit. You've done like big closet purchase over the years.
Oh yeah, the Poshmark. Still got a few things for sale in the Poshmark.
Just waiting to be bought.
Yeah, I mean, I will say, like, my first big clothing purge came after I got divorced, and it was partially because, like, I was just like going through shit, but I also was kind of like taking stock of every element of my life.
Yeah.
And just the feeling of like, I have held on to so much stuff, metaphorically and physically, where I'm like, I am never gonna fucking wear this thing. Like, it doesn't fit. Or doesn't fit my style or my,
You're a different person, right?
I'm a different person. But yeah, I'm into the purge for sure.
Yeah. Go ahead, please.
Oh, I naturally riffed that. I wasn't even
Okay.
looking at this outline.
I bought this pair of like high-waisted jeans that are like wide leg because that's back now.
Yes.
And men are wearing high-waisted jeans, which is a very cute look, despite us not having hips, but it's fine. But they fit when I bought them in Spain. And now they know, so I'm definitely holding out hope. But here's the thing, y'all. European sizes will fuck up your whole self-esteem because I'm a fucking giant. I'm an ogre in European sizes.
Oh, everybody is. I mean, honestly, let's call it what it is. It's racist. European sizes, because it doesn't matter if it's shoes or clothes.
Yo,
everything is messed up when you try to shop for accessories and clothes over there. And I will also add, the sizing in the US will also fuck you up, which is a very good segue into this episode's topic, because more often than not, it is external factors that really it's external factors that really dictate our psychological struggles. I need to do like a little tongue twister.
he put a lot of words in there, didn't he?
He sure did.
She was like, she's like, I gotta look up the thesaurus of this bitch.
We get it. You are a professor. Don't let him add some letters to his fucking name, because we'll never hear the end of it. Okay, let me try this again. More often than not, it's external factors that really dictate our psychological struggles with body image. Media, both traditional and social, rightly get blamed for a lot of the unrealistic beauty standards that plague us. But to your point about the standardization of sizing, the clothing industry, the fitness industry, the diet industry, they are all culprits. I'm looking at all of y'all.
Okay.
All right, little factoid here. The size standardization in apparel, small, medium, and large, was a result of the demands for military uniforms during the Civil War.
Isn't that crazy?
Now, I didn't realize, this is wild. Prior to standardization, military uniforms were custom made. Not y'all doing couture. You were like, we keeping the slaves and the couture. Like, what?
It's designer for slavery.
It's giving designer, and I hate black people. Like, come on now. That's
and
great.
Mass violence.
And mass violence. Oh my God, that's wild.
Isn't that crazy? Can we let me just back up to like the diet industry? Can we just put a pause in that? Why? Someone tell me why there's a diet industry. It almost like the premise dictates that we don't like our bodies.
Yeah.
And, don't worry, class.
Capitalism. I mean, let's be honest. It is a little bit of capitalism, because there is a new diet like every few weeks.
I mean,
some celebrities doing a diet because they're in a movie. Then there's like, now we're doing paleo. We're doing the caveman. Then we're doing the South Beach. Everyone's going vegan.
Vegan. Vegan's now and gluten-free. Those are like medical things, but
yeah, but it's more of a thing of like, eat what you want. But to your point about the diet industry, at least for me, I remember growing up, it was always like, we're cutting out this food group,
a lean cuisine, right?
We're only doing this thing, or we're doing, we're doing these juice cleanses. That's a thing too. Like,
and the intermittent fasting, like this.
Yes.
Someone was saying, I'm trying not to eat for 16 hours a day. I was like, what? How many hours does that leave you?
Yeah,
like, that's crazy. I mean, and it's all predicated on us not liking ourselves, and so like, hey, you need to be something other than what you are. Class, do not worry. We aren't going to spend this entire episode calling out the industries that make us feel like we're not enough, and the capitalism, like Fran was talking about it, that fuels them. You know how we do here on Let Me Fix It. We are going to examine some of the universal truths about body image, fold in plenty of our own body image trauma, because that's also what we do. And then, per usual, we will each pitch our own fix. So why don't we dive in? This is body image. Let me fix it. Ka, 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 ka.
So before we dive in, I had like a little pitch. You know how like for Thanksgiving or for like vacations, we talked about each thing and then we like pitched a fix. How do you feel about doing that since some of these topics are very specific versus like one big body image fix?
That's great.
Okay, great. Before we fully dive into the episode, Delon, I think that we should clarify how we are framing and defining body image in this episode. I think sometimes we just group it in with being healthy, quote unquote. But I would argue, but it has more to do with like psychological health than anything else. So class, for this episode, we are framing body image as how people think, feel, and act towards their body.
Yeah, friend, that definition comes from... Yes, class, that definition comes from an article you read, Body Image Statistics 2024, 57 plus shocking facts and stats. It's by a psychological researcher in Australia named Dr. Jack Lenardon. The good doc goes on to say that body image is, quote, a multifaceted construct, meaning that it consists of many different perceptual, attitudinal, and behavioral components. I want to just pause on this construct thread. When we say something is a construct, man, it means that it's something society constructed, right? Not to get too into the grammatics here, but that also means that we can deconstruct it, right? I just want to put that out there.
You better. So he's fixing.
Okay.
No, that's a really smart way to frame it because, and I think that was also like the impetus for wanting to do this episode. Because I remember we talked about, oh my God, what was the episode that we did about being rich and like affluenza, right? Like, so that was a great episode. And I was like, I love the idea of us breaking down like social concepts.
Yes.
And the idea of like, for me, how my relationship with my body has changed over time is really important to really reflect on, to give myself credit for. And I hope our audience is able to do the same thing. So you're right. We can break it down if we want to.
Well, and breaking it down, it allows us for me, it allows me to look at things more individually and like intellectualize them, you know, he's in his professor era, but like I'm having a feeling around the thing, but like, let's think about it and unpack it, but it requires like a definition. I'm also just pointing that out because it's an opportunity and an invitation for all of us therein. You know, if we see something that's constructed or structured the way we don't like it, we have the power to reconstruct it or deconstruct it, right? Again, he's in his professor era.
We've heard you. You have this is
a teachable moment.
It used to be that you were always talking about, you know, the arts and I mean, you're
still talking about the odds now.
You take a joke and you will just beat it down to the ground. We get it.
I'm just saying. I'm here for you all.
Okay.
Right? I'm the gift for you all.
Oh, well, thank you, Professor Grant. To use one of your SAT words, I concur. But I really do agree with you, especially with something like body image. If we can't deconstruct it in society, we can definitely try to unlearn some of the thoughts and the feelings and the behaviors that we have developed to cope with our own poor body image. So class, in the article that Delon mentioned, this doctor lists and defines some specific elements of a negative body image. And I don't know if I feel seen or attacked by this list, but I thought it would be good for us to just go through these list topics together and then talk about how we've maybe made some fixes in our own lives with regards to each one. So first up, we've got body dissatisfaction, which is a general unhappiness with your body or its parts. Delon, your eyes are getting big. Okay.
I mean, I could name the parts of my body right here, right now, and I'm sure you could too. That apply to this body dissatisfaction thing. Here's the thing, like, where does it come from? Like, it's that comparison monster, I think.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Well, and I think, when we talked about like diet culture earlier, it's just so embedded in everything.
Yes.
You know, like I remember, when I was buying magazines, do those still exist? But like, I would buy women's magazines and there were always diets in them. always.
Yeah.
And you would flip through the pages and like, and you know, the way we look at bodies has changed over time. But like, you know, back in my day, that heroin chic look was big.
Oh,
And
oh,
everybody was so thin. It wasn't about strength. It wasn't about like there were no
health. It wasn't about health.
it wasn't about health. There were no plus size girlies. I mean, like, even if you looked at the Victoria's Secret fashion show would happen, and those girls were considered big
Yo,
by
plus
traditionals.
size.
They weren't called plus size, but they were more curvaceous.
Sure.
They had boobs, they had a little bit hips, like, you know, Tyra Banks, for example, who is thin,
Right.
always been thin. But even when, do you remember when they were calling her fat? She was like
yeah.
maybe a size 8 at the time. I mean,
well, because your heroin cheek thing, a normal sized woman is fat compared to somebody
Right.
who's rail thin. You know?
right. I think like the average woman's size is like a 14, 16 or something.
Well, and also that's not to chastise or you know, make anyone who is naturally thin feel bad, because I know that's also part of this body dissatisfaction thing.
Yeah.
It's just to say, like, there's a lot of focus on bigger bodied people or average bodied people,
Yeah.
and saying that there's something wrong there as compared to those who are naturally thin genetically. I think the other thing I want to pull about the body dissatisfaction thing is, like, you were dissatisfied. I know you have known you for 25,000 years. You were dissatisfied with your body when you were 18, when you were 25, when you were 30, when you were 35.
When does it stop?
When does it let up? Right? Same.
Yeah.
Like, I've never looked in the mirror and gone like, damn, I love it, you know? And so I just want to point that out. Like, that's really great food for thought.
Pun intended. You know what I think for me the fix has been is focusing on like how great my body is, not necessarily like, oh, here's how my body looks, but do you see my dog going into the
Is that a closet or your room?
It's the door to my bedroom.
Hilarious.
My dog just like walked in there. You know, instead of thinking about, oh, does my body fit these clothes, or do these clothes look good on my body or whatever, thinking about like how strong I am and how my body shows up for me and takes care of me and being able to accomplish things. And so like for me, like in the gym, it's less about I'm working out so I can fit into a certain size, but like having goals that have nothing to do with scale, like being able to do a pull-up. Like I'm trying to work on my flexibility. I really want to be able to do a split. Why? Because it would be fun to do at a party.
Because she wants to do a death drop.
Yes, I truly want. Honestly, like I don't think I'll ever be able to do a backflip, but I just think it's so funny. Like in movies, when someone's excited and they do a backflip, I'm like, I would just love to do that. Just
What
be like,
movie is that in?
Just like, you know, like teen movies where people are like, yay, and then they just like do a flip.
I don't know. Unless it's like Bring It On. I don't know what movie you're talking about.
That's the movie.
I answered the question. My fix for this is very similar to yours. What I hear you saying is like health, right? Which I'm sure as we go through this list, we'll kind of reframe a lot of the fixes through health. But for me, like I have realized how much I love dancing, right? I moved to Boston and I live right near a gay bar and right near a gay club. And like 2 weekends in a row, I went out with some friends and like danced, and everyone else is like, we're gonna sit over here and chat, and I was like, I'm on the dance floor. And it's like, and they were like, we talked about it later, and they were like, ooh, we went out so hard, and I was like, we did, and they were like, we need to like, you know, we're old, and I was like, no, bitch, while your knees work, you better go. So similarly, I'm like, I want to dance as much as I can, because that's what I love. I love that my body does that, you know?
Yeah, exactly. And to your point about like, we're old, it's like celebrate what your body can do now, because if you're fortunate, you'll be able to continue to do those things. But like when you age, your body changes and you're not able to do certain things anymore, even if you really want to, under the best of circumstances. So like, this is the time to celebrate what your body can do.
100%. So the next topic that's in this article is over-evaluation of weight/shape. So this is basing who you are as a person almost entirely on what you look like or what the number on the scale tells you.
Oof.
I mean, yes.
And here's the thing that this makes me think about, the idea of like body dysmorphia is so real. Oftentimes the way you perceive your body is not the way everybody else is. And you know what it makes me think of is there is a photo of you and I from freshman year of college, and we are at Bleep's house, and we are in the bathroom in front of this shower curtain.
Yes.
And when I see this photo, I'm like, whoa, we are like jacked. And I'm like, I remember us being so stressed, working out all the time,
Yes.
counting calories, doing all this stuff.
Doing two a days at the gym?
Two workouts a day. I mean, we were in acting school, and everybody was like very intense about being fit. I mean, it was not a healthy environment in any way, shape, or form, because we were in acting school and there was a lot of pressure to look a certain way, to fit into your to look and to fit into your costumes, and so on. And so just the realization that, like, I look back at photos of myself at various points in my life and I think I was so hard on myself. I looked so hot. I looked great. Like, why was I putting so much pressure on myself to fit some imaginary standard when, like, there was no reason for me to do that?
I'll tell you why. Because it's not imaginary. It's actually not imaginary.
Right.
There's a standard that we're indoctrination. I love this word, but we're indoctrinated into it, you know, via media and all those kinds of things. And so it's very real. It's a very real psychological thing. I think the other thing, like I would say about, from my experience, like I remember going to Spain. I only laugh because I've talked about friends like, oh God, the Spain. But I remember going to Spain, and one of the reasons that I talk about it so much and why it means so much to me, it's the first time when I was 30 years old, when I felt attractive, where I like, and it's also shitty that like it took other people, men, looking at me and being like, wow, you're beautiful. And I was like,
and also
really?
I'd add,
what are you talking about?
I'd also add leaving the country.
Well,
because that is something that I hear a lot. Racism, but I hear a lot of plus size people talk about that.
Wow.
That when they left the country, that they got, you know, it was like, in America, y'all are still, you know, hung up on body shapes, and I went out of the country and I was getting all this attention. But again, also as a Black person, as a person of color, we get seen and experienced differently outside of the United States. And it's unfortunate, but it's one of those things where, like, man, I wish everybody could have that experience. Everyone deserves to feel hot.
Yeah, and it's not necessarily like a hot adjacent to somebody who isn't. I think a lot of times in this country go, that person is super sexy and super hot, as opposed to people who aren't. It's like you have an aura, a feeling, a vibe that is sexy to somebody, and understanding that, right? And to going back again in our history, I think the thing that I keep taking away from this in my life, but also in this conversation, is that, you know, think back to that picture from the shower and go, damn, I didn't see who I was and didn't value who I was. And like, you know, 20 years from now, you're going to look back when you were 40 and go, yo, Francesca was sexy and hot and she didn't value herself. She started to, right? I'm trying to do this now.
I have been thinking that so much that every time I see an old picture of myself, I'm like, wow, I need to be less hard on myself in this moment, because when you're 95 years old, if you're lucky enough to make it to that age, right? Because the thing that I also keep thinking about that's like kind of related to this is that, like, aging is a privilege. I have many days where I'm like, oh my God, I'm getting old. But like, some people don't get old. Okay. Some people are frozen in time, you know, just because of a number of circumstances. But if you have the privilege of getting old into your old age, you are going to be 90 something years old and you're going to be like, yo, I was a baddie, no matter what you looked like.
Yes.
Because you're going to be like, well, now I don't look like that. And I missed that time and I wish I had done. And the feeling of, like, you know, being so hard on yourself now, you're not going to get to 95 and go, you know what? I'm so glad I ate almonds on that one day. No, you're going to be like,
I'll be saying, I'm so glad I was fucking. Okay.
That's exactly what you should be saying. Yes. You should be saying, I lived a life that was fun and enriched, and I wore, the crop tops, and
Yeah.
I,
What
did
a
the
great
fun
time
thing
I had. What a great time I had, you know?
instead of like, God, I should have done South Beach diet. Like, no.
At all.
All right, next up, we've got body preoccupation. Ooh, obsessively thinking or ruminating about what your body weighs or what it looks like. This is so real. Delon, I don't know if I told you about this. I was going through my closet and I found like a big box of old journals, and reading these journals broke my heart because every
Oh,
single day I was obsessing about my body, just
yeah.
so casually writing in there I needed to lose weight and I needed to work out more. And I don't remember that being a constant preoccupation, but it obviously really was.
Well, and same. Not on the journal front because he doesn't journal like that, but but like on the thought front, like it's a
Mm,
constant thing. And this is another topic that'll come up a little later in this list, but like it's also like feeling in your body, like the clothes aren't fitting
mm,
right, or pulling on the clothes to make sure that they're off of your skin. For me, that is something that I still cannot, a narrative I can't get rid of, you know?
really?
Yeah, it's kind of nuts. It's just pervasive.
Yeah, I mean, the thing that's been um, helpful for me is I've always been someone that likes to work out, but finding ways to be active that aren't just limited to the gym. So I take my dog on like a long walk every day. Sham and I try to go on a hike once a week if we can, and doing things that keep me active. So I'm not like, oh my god, I need to go to the gym. I need to blah blah blah. It's like no, it's totally fine. Like I didn't go to the gym today because I wanted to sleep in, and I'm not thinking, oh God, how do I make up for this? Because
Right.
I live a life that is active and I'm nurturing my body at all times so that, some days I'm like, yeah, whatever. I just want to wear like a moo and I'm totally fine. I'm good to go.
Well, it's also balance too, right?
Hmm.
My therapist has me practicing mindfulness in the morning because I get up and automatically think to-do list and start writing
Yeah.
things down and crossing it off. Like now, I have a whole cup of coffee where I just
Hmm.
sit. There's no
Ooh.
news, there's no podcast, there's no anything. It's just me and my thoughts. I often end up talking to myself.
Oh,
Um, right.
now that,
But
yeah.
but it's actually made space. And now he's running. Now I'm doing more and like now I'm more active. So
Mm,
I think it's also balance, right? Not
yeah.
the berating thing isn't helping. What helps is like clearing your mind, clearing my mind so that I can go, you know what
Hmm.
I need to do? I have an hour. I can run for 20 minutes. Let me run a mile real quick, you know?
Oh, that's really great. I love that.
Yeah. Another one on this, and this I fall into heavily, body checking. It's repeatedly checking your weight and shape through behaviors like self weighing, staring in the mirror, comparing yourself with others. And this is mine, pinching your body parts to assess
Oh
for
God.
fat and muscle. That is
Well,
atrocious. And I do it to myself.
the other thing I was going to say that's not on here is social media because the
Oh,
girls are body checking
the
on social
talks.
media.
Now,
Where
how does that manifest in the comments? How does that
no,
manifest?
no, no,
Their
no.
own
Like
bodies.
no, like you see girls on TikTok and they're just being like holding up their shirt and like doing these like little contortions and stuff. And you're like,
Wow.
you are literally just body checking. You are just
Wow.
looking at because a lot of people use the front facing
Yeah.
camera on their
Yeah.
phone. So it's almost like a mirror. And it's like they're
Mm-hmm.
checking themselves out in the video. And
Yeah.
and I will also add, these filters are out of control. You
Yo.
do not realize how much and I think again on some level people are like, yes, things are filtered.
Yeah.
No, 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 these filters are so good that they really will make you look like a different person.
I've seen some of them on the dating apps, and I've been
Oh,
like, I mean,
absolutely.
and because I'm a photographer and I know Photoshop, my eyes just tune to it, and I go,
Hmm.
oh no, you have a hole. Your skin ain't that good. I mean,
No.
Francesca's skin is that good.
But you know what? I will also add, I'm not on the dating apps anymore, but I remember when there was kind of like this trend of using those filters that gave you like cat ears. Do you remember that? It
I
was like,
do.
why are you, it's like so weird. Even that where you're like, okay, there are cat ears, but it was also like slimming your face a little
Mm-hmm.
bit. So like there are these very subtle, insidious ways. And in some ways I felt like the cat ears were a distraction, where it's like, oh look, I'm wearing these little cute little cat ears, and so you're not noticing that the filter is also kind of like pulling in my cheeks a little bit.
I would also add that it's acceptance, right? If I have the cat ears, you're accepting the filter. You go, oh, well, they have that filter on, so whatever, versus being like, what does he actually look like? Ready?
But they are doing the filters on their body now. And they're giving themselves larger hips and smaller waists and stuff. And you know, on the topic of the fix, I hate that is become so normalized.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, it's helped me to understand a lot of people who have no business not liking their body don't like their body. So why am I fucking giving myself all of this grief?
It's so true.
Certain people, and I'll also add, like, when I see people getting so uncomfortable or being so vicious about other people's bodies, I often think about how folks seem to get so triggered by fat people. It's telling me that you're going, I've worked so hard to be thin.
What's
my
wrong
ass
with you?
and my ass isn't happy. How dare you be happy and be
Oh
fat?
my
And it's like,
God.
oh, there's the real gag. You don't give a fuck. They're always like, you're flaunting, you're promoting obesity. It's like, bitch, no, you are just jealous that they have gotten to a place where they accept their body.
That part.
And they don't gotta fight with it anymore.
Well, and that's somebody in class, if you know what this is, because this is a pervasive issue.
Yes.
Where I think religion does this. I think politics does this, where they go, "Why are you over there being happy?"
Projection.
Projection.
It's
Projection.
projection.
Yeah. Like, I'm unhappy, so you aren't allowed to be happy in your body. It's crazy.
I think you are so right when you bring up that it happens with religion, it happens with, you know, queer identities. It happens with, I mean, I would argue, like, it's one of the tenets of racism. This idea of, like, I believe you are less than me. And so how dare your black joy makes me upset. Well, right?
Yeah, how dare you be educated? How dare you have a better house tonight? You know, what did Sarah Huckabee Sanders say about Kamala Harris?
Oh, my children keep me humble.
Keep me humble. But it's like, that is a trope. Like, how dare you be not humble, right? Negro, right?
Or how dare you have a lifestyle that is not congruent with my lifestyle?
Yeah,
that's all it comes down to.
Yeah, it's crazy. My fix for body checking is, and this is something I'm trying to do. This is my therapist speaking through me. Okay, is interrupting the thought. You know, if you can. Like, I know that sometimes, like, this is just like behavior that you're unaware of, and it's a psychological thing. But if you're aware of it and you don't like it, I'm trying to interrupt the thought and go, why do I think that? Who taught me that? What makes me think that about myself, right?
Yeah.
And also give myself credit. I ate a salad for lunch. I went for a run. What more do you want from me, Delon? What more do you want from me, right? So interrupting the thought, if you can, is my fix for that.
Yeah, something that my therapist encouraged me to do when you have that negative voice, and I will out myself here that I haven't done this, but I do think it's good advice, is to, like, name that voice and talk back to it. And be like, excuse me, like, negative Nancy, what you not about to do is talk down to me, you know? And just sometimes giving voice to those feelings and, like, counteracting them, how you're saying, like, interrupt the thought. Like, tell the thought, shut the fuck up, back up. I'm gonna do what I'm about to do, and you're gonna deal. I'm in charge.
You know,
I'm the captain now.
Oh, I'm the captain now. You know what I would say too, to take that and add on to it. I do this with my auditions. Well, when I have, like, anxiety before an audition, because it's a little nerve-wracking, despite, you know, having done it for 20 years, I actually invite the voice in. I go, you're there for a reason. It's because it's fight or flight, or it's because, like, there's a lot of pressure on this thing. You know, I know what you're here to do, and I know that you're anxious. I got it. Don't worry, we'll get through this. I got you. I
just had a vision of, like, the witch that's like, no, I'm melting. That's the voice, like, melting as you're talking to you. You're like, I see you. And I know you're stressed. I know you're scared.
And then I step over her melting ass.
Yes. Oh my gosh. All right, next we've got body image avoidance, avoiding situations that can elicit concerns about your body, like refusal to be weighed, wearing baggy clothes as a disguise, or the covering up of mirrors. Now, this is really interesting because while these things are framed as negative, I've heard of people, for example, when they go to the doctor saying, I don't want to be weighed. Or
Oh,
if I'm
wow.
going to be weighed, I want to turn away from the scale number. You can
Mm-hmm.
read it. Don't say it to me because especially when it comes to the scale thing, and I've had this where I'm like, I'm feeling really good about my body, and then I get on the scale and I'm like, womp womp. I'm like, wait, why have I
Yeah.
decided that is it's the same body? Like the number doesn't freaking matter.
Yeah.
And like, especially if you're lifting weights, especially if you've gone through health issues, like there's so many different things. What time you ate, what you ate, did you
That
drink water?
one day I was, let me not tell you, one day I lost 4 pounds. I was
Right,
like,
because you took a shit.
literally though, one day I was like, I was 220 and then I went down to 216. I was like, wait a minute.
So it's truly not.
It can't be. It can't
Right.
be a gauge of anything substantive unless you need it again for your doctor. Like if your
Right.
doctor's doing some numbers or some metrics for your age or what have you, right?
Right, but again, some people are able to recognize looking at this is harmful for me. And to your point, if I'm at the doctor's office, and let's keep it real, not every doctor knows what they talk about, because doctors love to be like, have you thought about losing weight? And it's like, I'm here for an earache. Okay, so like, can you look at my ear?
Right. It's girl, I keep saying it, medicine is a practice. Medicine is a
Right,
practice.
right.
It's an educated guess.
And so knowing like those are things that I need to avoid in order to maintain my mental health, like I'm all for it. But I would also add, changing the types of clothes that you wear, again, can be an avoidance thing, but it can also be I don't really need every nook and cranny to be visible. And I'm okay with that. And I feel more comfortable when my body is covered in this way versus another, if that makes
yeah,
sense.
the thing I would add too, I think this is where I bring in the gaze, because
Mhm.
there's a lot of undue pressure I feel in the gay circles that I walk in, and I know the gay community is obviously not a monolith. We have a lot of letters, right?
Yeah.
But I'm talking about the G kind of male focused gaze. There's the beach elicits this for me. I was at a party and we were playing a game, and then someone was like, "Oh, you have to take a clothes. If you lose, you have to take a part of your clothing off," which was like just
yeah.
in good fun. It wasn't like whatever,
Yeah.
but I was like, no, not me, and it becomes a thing, and that's my
Yeah.
right to say no.
Yeah, of
But
course.
it's no out of like body shame and negative
Yeah.
body image versus no out of like, no, I don't want to do that, right? That's
Right.
not lack of participation. So I only bring that up because I think like a part of the fix is, we keep saying it, I keep saying it, it's just interrupting that,
Mhm.
interrupting that. And also like, why do you feel that way? Why do you feel that way? Who told you that? That's one thing I keep asking myself. The gays told me that,
I mean,
but
I will say like I have also had similar times where I like didn't want to wear a swimsuit or didn't, avoided a pool party or whatever. I will say one thing that's been helpful for me is I'm gonna stand my naked ass in front of that mirror, and I'm gonna check myself out. And I'm gonna be like, you know what? It's like, it's not the body checking of, oh my God, am I thin enough? Am I whatever? But just like looking at my body and being like, I'm hot. Like I like how I look, like celebrating yourself and like
celebrating yourself.
really taking yourself in versus like nitpicking, like, oh, that's not right. And that's not right. And it's like, oh my God, like look at my thighs. Like, hell yeah. You know what I mean? Just really celebrating. I feel like that's something that we don't do enough of. And I'm trying to be better about doing it.
Me too. The next one is feeling fat. Oh, goodness. So it's a somatic sensation that you're carrying more fat than what you actually hold in reality, irrespective of actual body mass. So I want to pull the thread of changing your clothes, right? That might be an option. I think I have used to buy a baby tee. I call them baby gap tees, right?
Yes.
That would really hug my body. And I've gotten past that. And I love, it's also in fashion now to have your clothes be a little oversized. It's kind of the moment. So I've gotten out of that, and that helped me immensely to be like, oh no, it was the clothes that made me feel like when I sat down, there was a little more junk in the trunk. Now it's just fashions,
Yeah. Well, I want to drill down on this, like the something that I've heard as like the body acceptance movement has kind of come more mainstream is that fat is not a feeling. And that this is a thing that a lot of thin people say. Oh, I feel so fat, which is like a fucked up thing to say when there are people that are fat, and also like moving away from fat being a bad word,
Yes.
like avocados are healthy fats. Like there are fat, like we need fats in our diet, whether it's like olive oil or yogurt or whatever it might be, and that it is a natural part of our body. And so that's not to say that like there are not times in my life where I've used the phrase, oh my God, I feel so fat, but like realizing that like our bodies are constantly in flux. Just like you said, you wake up in the morning and your body feels different. You go to bed and your body feels different. You eat certain things and your body feels different. And it's not that you have gained or lost weight, but like certain foods give you inflammation. Certain foods, I will never forget, there was like on Reddit, they always have these like ask Reddit threads where people say like, I have this weird bump. Like, what does this mean? And someone said, well, I don't understand why bananas are spicy. And everyone said, bananas are not spicy. Nigga, you are allergic to bananas.
Allergic to bananas.
She said, every time I eat a banana, my tongue starts itching and it's very spicy. How do people eat these?
You're going to anaphylaxis.
Right. And it wasn't allergic enough to get like ill. It was just like a weird feeling. So again, like your body feels different things based on temperature, time of day, like all of that stuff is natural. And I feel like for me, the fix has been accepting that my body's not always going to feel the same way it did 15 minutes, 20 minutes a day, an hour, 10 years ago. Like,
True.
Like I'm a living organism. I'm always going to feel differently no matter what.
Well, and to pull the thread about the body itself and the organism of it all, the fix that I would have is like, I'm all about the thinking and interrupting the thought and changing the thought. But think about how amazing your body is, right?
Speak on it.
You can get a cut and that shit will heal.
I don't understand.
You can have a limb chopped off of your body and you can survive it. There are scientists that are putting a pig's heart in a human being and they are surviving, right? Like it's amazing what it can do. Our brains, we only use 10% of our brains. Like appreciate what the body can do, because then you'll look at it differently.
I think about that all the time when I like have a thought and it comes out of my mouth. I'm like, I still don't really understand. Like, how is it that it was in my head and then it like traveled down to my mouth and came out?
And I formulated it, right?
That is incredible. I think about that type of stuff all of the time. And you're right. Just like, and I would also add to that, really giving yourself, nope, just kidding. See, I just complimented my brain and said, you know what?
And your brain said, gotcha, girl. It's like,
perfect example, because I was fully formulating the thought in real time. I was like, you know what? I'll get there. I'm not really sure what I'm about to say.
I just love that your brain punked you. Your brain was like, gotcha. It's cackling right now. It's literally laughing at your ass.
That is so funny. I love also the thought of like the 10% of my brain that doesn't work is sitting back going, try us, bitch.
Right. You need every last percent.
All right. Next up, we've got fear of weight gain. The irrational, illogical, and harmful fears that you are gaining weight. And you know what? I'm going to blame society on this one because, oh my God. You know what it makes me think of? When Jessica Simpson, it was like at the peak of her career, they were out here calling her fat. And they
were calling everybody fat.
They really were. And it was truly that thing of like, didn't she just have a kid and like her boobs were a little bit bigger and like she was just wearing a tighter shirt? It was just so ridiculous. And I don't think the media in particular understands, or maybe they do, and that's why they do it, how it has a trickle down to everyone. You look, you're checking out the supermarket and every magazine's like, look at so-and-so now. Have they bounced back? You're getting your mama body. She just had a baby 2 seconds ago and she's got abs. It's like,
Well, you know what it is? It's clickbait. You know, the version.
Yeah.
It's like the print media version of clickbait. It's literally meant to inflame us. It's inflammatory. You know, because either way, you're gonna be like, "What the fuck is wrong with you?" And the other people are gonna be like, "Oh wow, that's terrible. Don't want to be that." Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. My fix for the fear of weight gain is, you know what? You're gonna gain weight. You know what? You're gonna lose weight. It's just something we have to accept. But like, I understand that this is like a psychological thing.
Yeah.
But understand that, like, again, interrupt that thought. You're gonna gain weight. You're gonna lose weight. It happens.
It's natural. Yeah.
Yeah. And you know when you're gonna gain weight? Christmas time. So prepare yourself, because here it comes. So the next one is the next one on this list is thin ideal internalization. So this is buying into the belief that being thin will make you happier, popular, or successful. And I don't know that we've seen this proved in reality, right?
No, and that's the thing, is it's not fucking real, because there are a lot of skinny bitches who are bitter and angry and rude.
They're hungry.
Literally. But again, it goes back to the thing that I was saying, when you see people projecting onto fat people, it is very often someone who has bought into the idea that being thin is ideal.
Yeah.
And it didn't fix the problems. And so now they are feeling really unhappy with the choice that they've made when they see other people that have made different choices and are very happy.
Well, and here's the thing, like, people have said this before, this is me regurgitating somebody else's thought, but like, yo, it's fleeting. Your beauty is fleeting. Your body is fleeting. We are all slowly dying. I get accused of being morbid because I am.
You are.
Right? We all are dying. So like, back to what we said earlier, enjoy the body you have while you have it. Because again, your knees ain't always going to work. Get down on them and do what you got to do.
Okay, now look at you. Throw in a little sex joke.
Always.
Yes. All right, next we've got body dysmorphia, which is a body image disorder characterized by the obsessive idea that some aspect of one's own body part is profoundly flawed and hence warrants behaviors designed to hide or fix these perceived flaws. And like I said earlier, I really think more of us than not have some scale of body dysmorphia.
Yeah.
Because how often have you been out with a friend and they're criticizing their body and you're going, what are you talking about? For me, I've talked about this before, it was that little titty. I was so hung up on that little titty. One of my tits is a little smaller than the other, but guess what? Everybody's got a little titty. And in high school, my mom, shout out to Lerna, bought me a little fake boob. I had a little fake boob. And I was so stressed about it. And now I genuinely never think about it. And anytime I mention it, sometimes people are like, oh yeah, I can see it. And then other times people are like, literally don't know what you're talking about. Is it that one?
I mean, I have a big tit too.
Everyone
a big
does.
And it's like the opposite of where the heart is, or what hand, right-handed or left-handed, whatever.
I've heard it's because of where your heart is and pumping blood to the heart. I don't freaking know.
Yeah.
But again, every single person has something on their body that they're like, this ear is a little bit higher. And it's like, oh my God, like, most people are not noticing that thing that you're noticing.
Right. And I know that body dysmorphia is like, I keep saying psychological, but it is a psychological disorder, right? Like, people really have a hard time seeing out of that. So I don't want to like go too deep into how I would change that, because we're not psychologists. But like, if we could think about like internal versus external, I keep talking about this in my classes that I teach, but like the external shit is the thing that's forcing us to believe that our bodies need to be something different. Like internally, like, what, you want to be happy with your body? Like, focus on that. What would do that for you? How would you, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like make it an internal journey versus an external. Again, that's not dealing with a psychological disorder, a body dysmorphia, but that's just kind of one offering that I have. Our last one on the list is muscle dysmorphia, akin to body dysmorphia, but it's a body image disorder that's It's a body image disorder that centrally compromises a core belief and fear around being of insufficient muscularity and a simultaneous drive for muscularity.
Now this
Gay
one's
people.
That's so funny because I was going to say, I'm sure that this affects all types of people, but what comes to mind for me is like bodybuilders, some of the people
Yes.
who are like obsessive, and you see them and you're like, do you need more muscle? Like what's the goal? Like, what are you trying to, your muscles have muscles. Like that's
Right, and they're hurting. You know what's crazy is
yeah.
that when I go on these dating apps or even on Instagram and I meet somebody gay, I met some new gay friends, and I go to their Instagram, it's invariable that they will have a shirtless pic or several of them
They have
with
to.
abs, and I'm like, wow, it's just it's a calling card. If you don't have it, people go, what's wrong? What's under
Yeah.
that? It's like a guy who wears a hat. You go, there's no hair under there.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so true. And I think that perspective is so necessary in these conversations, because something that you and I've talked about a lot of times is, I'm sure there's like an official study on it, but in many ways it feels almost as like an attempted overcompensation for like your
1000%.
own like homophobia. You're like,
Yes.
I'm trying to fit the standard of masculinity. I know I don't fit it in these ways, and so for that reason I need to have 2% body fat, and I need to be as like cut up as possible. I need to be in the gym at all times. So like you can say I'm gay, but you can't say I'm not fit, which is like, oh.
Well, I would add, I feel like it's an overcorrection too. Overcorrection is probably not the right word, but it's like the idea that if I'm gay, I'm going to be I'm going to make this amount of money. I'm going to look this way. I'm going to perfect as much as I can about myself because society already says that I'm deficient.
Exactly.
And that's a bastardization of it. But like I feel that. And I know like in the circles I run, I'm like, oh, we all have that. You know, I was on the phone with my family, like on a Zoom. I have a new apartment. And they were like, oh, show me the apartment. And I was zooming around and I was like, oh, it's a mess. And my mom was like, oh my God, it's so clean. It's so straight. I was like, oh, my mess is, I will say this to you, friend, our 4 is someone else's 10. You know?
Now
So I was
that's
like,
the truth.
oh, this isn't a mess. It's just disorder. You know? And it feels like a mess to me. So, you know, like when you put language around these elements or characteristics of negative body image, it can feel pretty dramatic. Like these are pretty weighty things that we're talking about. But I think in practice, the feelings are more subtle than we realize, which makes them more insidious. So many of them are steeped just in like the disease of comparison, I think, like society telling you that you're not like somebody else, so strive to be that.
It's so true. And the ironic thing about humans is that 99.9% of us are the same according to our DNA. And of course that, you know, what makes us individuals varies in different shapes and sizes and facial features. Yet we give so much brain space to feeling inadequate and comparing ourselves to each other. And you're right, Delon, it's just not fair.
You know, and you know what I think all of that comparison bullshit is the result of fear. Fear of not being accepted and loved for who we are. I said on a podcast episode last season, I just think we all want to be seen and heard. We want to be seen and heard, and let's add loved. And I think we think by doing these things, we will be seen more, we'll be heard more, we'll be respected and loved more. But all that shit has to come internally.
Yeah, and I will just say, like, the other reason I really wanted to do this topic is because I'm genuinely really proud of the way that you and I have made a commitment to working through our own body image issues and celebrating our bodies and taking care of ourselves and prioritizing our health. And class, I just want to stress to all of you that if you feel insecure about elements of who you are, it is something that you can work on. It's not going to happen overnight, but like that's been one of the joys of getting older, is being at a place where I'm like, this is something I used to stress out about all of the time. And that low tolerance for bullshit that comes in your 40s has also given me the space to be like, I don't give a fuck. This is what I'm wearing. You either like it or you don't. If you get the privilege to see the little titty, you better suck on it instead of thinking about how small it is.
You know what? And there's many a soul in our 330 million people in this country that was stuck on your titty. Okay? There's a solid 20% of the motherfuckers. I forgot to add the commercial break before.
Yeah, let's do it now. Let's just jump right to it.
So now it's time for everyone's favorite. Well, I'm sorry. So Fran and I went through and we fixed as we went along. So there's no direct fix. I think the overall fix for me is just interrupt your thought. Mm-hmm. That means now we're going to head over to everyone's favorite segment, the glow up. But first, we're going to take a short break. We'll be right back. And we're back. Fran, do you mind if I go first?
Please do.
So this is a little bit of a personal fix.
Okay. Personal glow up.
Yeah, sorry. So this is a little bit of a personal glow up, more of a stay up.
Okay.
Q-tips. Now, listen, hear me out.
Okay, I'm listening.
So I found out years ago that some people go to the doctor to have their ears cleaned.
Oh, that's a whole genre on TikTok.
Oh, you and that TikTok. But people go to the doctor with their ears cleaned. I was like, oh, I don't do that. And because I guess like Q-tips can push the wax further in your ear.
You're kind of not supposed to use a Q-tip, I guess.
So then I got this instrument where I like get the wax out kind of. Like it's kind of like a drill, almost like a rubber drill. It's listen, it
what
works.
Is going on? I know, but what is you need a drill?
Listen. It's just coiled to get, it looks like a drill head or whatever, a drill bit. But I'm not going to the doctor and spending $200 for them to clean my fucking ears. That makes no damn sense to me, right? Mm-hmm. I have insurance, but still, that's a copay. Mm-hmm. So black people have always been using Q-tips. I know black people, class, you listen to this, black folks are like, I don't know what you were talking about. We always use Q-tips. But I've really started using Q-tips again, and I said, fuck it. But I'm also, you do the lick method?
What are you talking about? You lick the Q-tip first?
You got a little wet.
You do know you can use water from a faucet, correct?
Girl, but then it's dripping in your ear. This will just get a little sticky. Okay. A little sticky. Wow. And then it keeps the particles like a little tighter. And you just circle around the ear. Don't shove it in there. Just circle around it really gently.
Delon, I feel like I don't even know you. I feel like I've gone on a roller coaster.
I'm just pulling back the curtain. This is Oz. Okay.
Yeah, this is
okay. Yeah, so Q-tips, I stayed away from them for a while, but then you put your earbud in, it's all sticky in there. I was like, I have to do something. And the little drill bit wasn't working as well as a Q-tip. So I just said, fuck it. I'm using Q-tips again.
Oh my God.
And Johnson & Johnson, whoever uses Q-tips, if you'd like to sponsor us, we are here and ready for you.
What a little TMI moment that is for you. Okay. Well, I also have a personal glow up this week. So even though I consider myself to be someone who is very straightforward about the way that I feel, I don't mince words, I feel like the Delon in me sometimes avoids confrontation because I'm trying to keep
that was shady. Got it.
No, it is a little bit of let me do this the right way, whatever.
Sure.
Okay, so my personal glow up is the other night. My neighbors were playing. It was midnight. It was 12:30. I'm awoken from my sleep. My neighbors are playing their music so loud. And normally my instinct would be like, hey, can you turn it down? What's going on? I opened that door. First of all, I opened my front door. There was a man in a bear costume that was hitting the ceiling. There was someone holding a cake with sparklers on top of it. 20 people in the hallway banging pots and pans. I opened the door. I was like, what are you doing? I was livid. And the guy was like, oh, don't worry. It's her birthday. And I was like, I don't give a fuck what day it is.
I heard
it's 12. But I was a different person.
You were an old auntie is what you were.
I fully was an old auntie. And it was it was the thing of I think they kind of needed to see that in order to be you're totally right. We'll take it in. Versus if I had been hey guys, can you just whatever.
Wait, they were in the hall instead of in the apartment?
Delon, they were in the hallway having a fucking mielele. Like everywhere.
Wait,
And
and
it
you
was
have that bougie ass building. You have a whole rooftop that you can rent out. You have a whole pool area
It
that you
was-
can rent out.
I mean, it closes at 10, but
Oh,
yes.
shit. Okay.
But what was so funny to me about it was I yelled at them. They went inside, whatever. My other neighbor who walks Flex sometimes texted me and was like, oh my God, we went out last night to yell at them. And before we could, we saw you yelling at them. And we were like, yo, Francesca shutting it down. They were like, and it was so funny because I think I was kind of like in a sleepy haze, so I didn't realize how bad it was. But I literally was like, I don't give a shit. It is 12:30 at night. Go to bed.
And do you know how much I pay in rent to live in this motherfucker? Shit.
Literally, I was like, I will call security. Take it inside.
Heard that.
Take
Not in the
inside.
hall. It's one thing in your apartment. Like, even in your apartment, I might go knock on the door and be like, y'all need to keep it the fuck down.
Well,
but in the hallway?
And listen, I've been here for 4 years and I never hear shit. I'm right on the pool. People will be having a full party, Miami spring break style outside my window, and I don't hear anything. These walls are very thick. So you're right. Go inside. But I was just really proud of myself that I put my foot down and I was like, I didn't.
Unapologetically, yes.
I was unapologetic because I think in the past, when I've said something to a neighbor about being loud, I've been kind of like, hey, like, I'm not trying to be a bitch. You know, I'm sorry. I'm working. I'm sleeping. I'm whatever. And I was like, no, I pay rent. Okay. This is
fucking part. Yo, and that's, knowing you and I have seen this progression in you. You've always been singularly like, I am going to speak my mind. I think it's become more and more about just like putting yourself in the narrative more. And I respect the hell out of it. Because not only do you pay rent, I feel the same way. I will sometimes edit in my own apartment. You know, I sing and like I'm working on things and auditions and stuff like that. I was in here singing the other day and I was like, oh God, my neighbor is still on. It's 8 o'clock. I said, I pay money for this motherfucker. Come on, what are you talking? What are you talking about?
Yeah.
If it's 10:30, we can talk. But it's 8 o'clock. You do what you want because you paid that rent. Shit.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so again, and it's funny because I know that you've said similar things about yourself where you're like, if I want something, I need to advocate for myself.
Yes.
I need to do it. And like, that is a glow up to be like, you know what? I am not going to shrink myself. It is not unreasonable to be like, y'all need to turn this shit down. And to do it. And then you know what? Saw my neighbor and said hi. Not a problem. It's fine.
That part.
Nothing. I don't have anything against you.
I no grudge.
Happy birthday, girl.
I just needed my 12 winks, girl. Come on now.
What are you, 25? You look good, girl. Like, it's fine. It's fine. Just don't do it in the hallway.
I'm always ready to throw a sex joke in there. Do you blow your back out, that bear?
All right, class. So now we want to hear with you. What has helped you develop a better relationship with your body? Or maybe you would like to suggest a TV show, a celeb, or a brand that we should fix in a future episode. Hit us up on Instagram at FixItPod or email us, lemmefixitpod@gmail.com.
And we also have a YouTube channel. It is Raw Dogging. Because I can't help it. I can't help it. I'm just saying.
There's no raw dogging. There's no.
No, my God, no. I meant raw. I meant just the raw footage. Just the raw footage. No editing. No editing. And there won't be any Q-tip licking either. So don't. And if you enjoyed this episode, please be sure to give us a rating on iTunes, Spotify, Amazon Music, or your favorite podcast app. I'm Delon.
I'm Francesca. And this was
Let me fix it.